dejected-looking Manchester United, a sight that we have seen many a time so far this season as the game ends in a 1-1 draw. All right, well, let's have a look at the top of the table. You will find Manchester United there in 6th, level on points with Chelsea. They do miss a massive opportunity, though, to go ahead of Chelsea in the standings. So, Stevie, let's talk about it, shall we? Because I know you could not take your eye off of this game. And as you described it to me, you said good point earned for United, right?
Yeah, well, you know, if they stay,
round off the year.
If they stay up, then they'll look back at this point and say this was it. Yeah, this was just Manchester United. I mean,
peak.
I mean, if you knew nothing about the Premier League and you'd sat down for the first time ever, you would think there's not much between these two teams. I mean, that's the honest truth. I mean, going forward, there was nothing exciting about Manchester United, and certainly from a defensive point of view, and all the stuff that Amarin's been going on about, changing from 5 to 3 to 4. Well, 4 apparently now seems to be the way to go. Well, he didn't look very comfortable defensively either. So yeah, I think once again we've just kind of seen that this is the level that Manchester United are right now, and until they make more and better signings all over the field, then this is what you're going to get, I'm afraid.
Well, as we said, that this point actually ended an 11-losing streak for Wolves, Shaka. But as Stevie said, of course, Man United probably will want to do some reinforcing in January. But they are currently without a couple of players, especially because of AFCON. Do you sympathise with them a little bit with that? Could you blame that?
No, this is Wolves. Wolves will go down. I feel fairly confident. Wolves will go down as one of the worst teams in the Premier League with their points total this year, even with this point. And while, to your point, Alexis, no Bruno Fernandes, no Mbeumo, but Ruben Amorim made the point that without those players, you are asking others to step up, to take some responsibility. Now, you mentioned that had Manchester United won this, they would have gone above Chelsea. Had they won, they would have also gone above Liverpool, albeit Liverpool would have a game in hand. And now, I'm a firm believer in the psychology of these games. You have an opportunity to get yourself into the top 4 at home to arguably, time will prove me wrong or not, the worst team the Premier League has seen. And you squander that opportunity. As a matter of fact, you quite easily could have lost this, given some of Wolves' chances late on. And that just, again, speaks to this team, a lack of character about them, about who they are, and their ability to get a job done. The fact that we still having conversations around, and to Frank's point earlier about whether the league is as strong as it had been in years gone by, now we're suddenly talking about this version of Manchester United possibly finishing top 4. And this is and I know where they finished last season, but this is arguably as bad a Manchester United as we saw last season. Yet they are here with a chance, a win or two, and rubber the green of being in the top 4. I think that speaks volumes to them, but more to the point, on today's game, it speaks volumes about a lack of personality within this team to really excel.
Jurgen, what about you? Given the fact that we know how deep Manchester United's problems are, how surprised were you with this result?
I think we're all surprised about the result, and it's like Shaka says rightfully, it is a question of character. It's a question of the spirit of the locker room. I mean, you as a manager, you go crazy there out on the sideline, because you need to see urgency from your players. You need to see kind of almost desperation to score another goal to get the 3 points against Wolverhampton Wanderers, who has been a disaster this season and will go down into the championship. So this drives you, as a manager, this drives you crazy, a situation like that. You question everything. You question your environment. You question the people that work around you. And that's not only the players, that's the entire locker room, all the people that work day in, day out with the players are to be questioned. You know, are they driven enough? Are they, do they have character enough? Are they desperate enough to get 3 points every week in, week out? And I mean, we always kind of tend then to make the manager responsible for everything. But I think, in a game like that today, where you as Manchester United, need to just prove to your point and get 3 points, no matter how you get the 3 points, but you get the 3 points. So that's where you now look at the whole bigger picture and say, maybe within this entire club, there are some things that are just simply not right, because it's impossible not to get the 3 points today.
Alexis, as a coach, that's the one thing that drags you down. You can lose games, but if you lose games and you can see the fight and the desire and the will, but they just keep making mistakes and things are going against you, and maybe some teams are just better than you. But when you're sitting on the sideline watching your team and you don't see the desire and you don't see the energy to try and be better, that's what drags you down as a coach. That's the worst feeling ever.
Frank, you spoke about the inconsistencies that we see at Chelsea in terms of formation, etc. Looking at Manchester United now, we've seen Ruben Amorim tinkering with his lineup and how he puts out his 11, whether it's a back 3 or a back 4 now. And I remember the time where we were pretty much criticizing him that he was not being flexible, that he was just sticking to his system whenever it wasn't working. Now we see him being flexible, but it's still all going wrong.
Yeah, it does. And I don't see if there is any solution. And I think the first maybe thing that they have to do, they have to stop that the Manchester United that we have now is the Manchester United who belongs to history in the Premier League. That's over. That's another era. And Manchester United is not the club that it used to be. Yes, in terms of history, it's maybe the biggest club in the world, or one of the biggest clubs in the world. But we have to stop to think that Manchester United is capable of doing anything right now. And it's been a while for that we thought that. So you have the player that you deserve. You have maybe the coach that you deserve. You have maybe the whole locker room that you deserve. And you have to do something about that, because it doesn't work. And it hasn't worked for years now. And I think if there is somebody who maybe know what's going on, is maybe, the old players. Some players who have non-success. And maybe the Roy Keane, maybe the David Beckham, I don't know, some others like that, Peter Schmeichel. And maybe they should talk to know what is the solution. And what kind of medicine they should take, because it doesn't work at all. And the player maybe that they are hiring are not at the level that people are expecting.
An exorcism. I think that's exactly what the entire club needs. A whole exorcism. Call up the Vatican. Let's schedule it. But anyway.
Well, welcome to the Gary Neville podcast. After, it's fair to say, an underwhelming draw from a Manchester United point of view against the bottom club in the league. Let's start with the home side tonight. They were booed off at half-time and booed off at full-time, Gary.
Yeah, they weren't just booed off at full-time. The little walk around which the United players have started to do now every single match, irrespective of the result, the fans waited in the stadium to continue to boo them. Sometimes I think when you get a boo at the end of the game, it's the majority that boo, and then you get, when they walk around the ground, the ones that stay in usually will not just signal the fact that they're appreciative of the fact that they're walking round, but that wasn't it. They were staying in to boo them. I'm not going to get emotional because I don't think it's something that is helpful for anybody. But that was the baddest of the bad. That was the baddest of the bad, because it was. We saw them warming up before the game, and they were warming up in the system of the 3 at the back with Heaven to the right, Martinez and Shaw, and then up front they had Dalot on the right wing back, Dorgu left wing back, and then they had Xerxes on the right channel, Cunha in the left channel, and Sesko. And I said to you, I said they were warming up in the wrong shape against Newcastle to fool everybody the other night, and then ended up playing with the back 4. So I said I'd ignore that. As soon as I saw that shape was actually going to be played, I've seen Xerxes in that right channel before. It just doesn't work. We know that Dorgu was a left wing back. We've seen him play there a number of times now. Just a turn, sorry, I'm hearing something. We've seen him play there a number of times now, and he does okay there. He's willing, and so is Dallo at right wing back. I think they're both willing. I've played that position, and I think I was a pretty decent right back. It's a bloody tough position to play right wing back or left wing back. It just is. And I thought Dorgu was so good on the right wing against Newcastle. I just thought he looked free. He could cut in on his left foot. He looked more inventive. He looked more like a wide player. So I was struggling with it from 30 seconds, but what I didn't want to do was start the sort of negativity after 30 seconds because, you know, the reality of it is you've got to let a game settle in, and if they go score 2, you look a little bit stupid as well. But let's be really clear, after 5 minutes I thought, that's not going to work all night. That is going to be a bad performance. He's going to have to change that after 15 minutes. After 15 minutes he didn't change it, and after 20 minutes I said, this is it. They might score 2, I think my words were, they might score 2 in the next 10 minutes, but this is not right. And I've been very complimentary of the last 2 or 3 performances. Bournemouth, Villa, Newcastle. Because there have been things in those 3 performances that I've liked. And I think I genuinely believe that entertainment and performance matters. Matters for 2 reasons at this club. One is that these fans come here to be entertained like every single other football fan in the country, but you've got to entertain here. There's 75,000 of them coming and they want entertaining. And secondly, I genuinely believe that performance leads to results. I know some people say, oh, results everything, but it's very difficult to play football, so it's very difficult to win a lot of football matches if you're not performing well. Yeah, we all come out with the old cliche of it's great to win when you don't play well, but that can only be maintained for a short period of time. Eventually, if you're not playing well, you'll start to basically fall over in your results. So for me, the last 2 or 3 games, when we've seen something like, you think, actually, that's something to build on. He got a little bit, I don't say confident, but a little bit strange in his press conference, didn't he, a couple of days ago, and he started saying, I've not changed because of the media. You don't need to say, look, I think he's great with the media, Ruben Amorim. I think he's honest, I think he's authentic, he's got great integrity. He doesn't need to be clever or second guess the media. He doesn't need to answer to the media. He doesn't need to sort of say, I haven't changed because of the media, because then he's telling us basically that the media is in his head. The reason he's had to change is because the performance levels with the 3-4-3 have been so poor. The performance levels have been so poor, and the results have been appalling. If the performances are good, but you draw against Bournemouth and you lose against Villa, we're a glass half empty club when it comes to performances. We'll actually live with if we're entertained. And that sounds really crazy from a group of players that have, you know, played out here and won trophies. But honestly, I just come here to be entertained. I do. That's the first thing that I think. I want to walk across that forecourt and see my team play brilliant football and excite the crowd, because that's the kid in me that sat over there in this stand. So when I see that we go back after 5 minutes tonight, and I'm thinking, oh, Ruben, why have you done that? It was really simple tonight. It was more simple. Do you know the AFCON players aren't here? We know the injuries are not there. It's actually made his job more simple. There's more sympathy for him. Sesko plays up top. Cunha plays to the left. Dorgu plays to the right. Xerxes plays in that little hole off Sesko. You've got Agati and Casemiro in midfield. You've got Luke Shaw left back. You've got Aiden Heaven and Martinez centre backs. And you've got Dallo at right back. It's not an amazing team, but it's really obvious that that's the team that should be picked in the system that we should be playing tonight. And it should have been picked, and it was so obvious. It's Xerxes' best position, dropping in. Sesko's got someone close to him, which means he's not playing up front on his own. Cunha just off to the left, and he can drift in. Really, that's fine, because he's got Shaw that can go round him, and Shaw's really good to play with on that side. You've got Dallo then coming from behind on this side, but he's got Dorgu who can cut in, which means that Dallo can go round. And to be fair, Aiden Heaven, the big question mark you'd have in that system would be Casemiro and Agati and Heaven and Martinez. However, I thought Agati and Casemiro did really well against Newcastle. I thought Agati had his best game for the club. And then I thought Aiden Heaven and Martinez did brilliantly against Newcastle. And actually, to be fair, Aiden Heaven had his best game for the club and Martinez came back, you know, from being out. So I thought that those 4 would just be certain to start in there. And I think tonight, look, I always want to put sort of, it's not just the manager, it's not just the players, it's not just there's a culmination of everything when you get a bad performance. But I do think tonight the manager has to look at that and think, I got that wrong, I complicated it, they just needed simplicity. And playing Xerxes in that right channel, playing Dorgu at left wing back, playing Dallo at right wing back, and then the substitutions, to be fair again, the substitutions made us worse. They made Manchester United worse. Every single substitution was bizarre. I don't know what's happened with Xerxes at half-time.
Yeah, just to clarify, we're still waiting to hear from Amorim.
Well, look, I think if Xerxes was injured, fair enough. Got to get him off the pitch. If Xerxes wasn't injured, and that was a tactical substitution, it was a really poor one. And I'm not saying Xerxes is Eric Cantona, he's not, let's be clear, by any stretch of the imagination. But I have to say, he needed to be out there for physicality, for presence, for experience.
And he'd scored.
You couldn't take him off. So I'm hoping he's injured.
So let's have a word.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm hoping he's injured for Ruben Amorim.
To give him that reason. Let's say a word for Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are still winless in the Premier League. We can't take away. And in many ways, Rob Edwards will look at that game and think, actually, we could have won that in the end.
Yeah, I mean, look. I mean, I said, to have 2 points from 18 matches is absolutely appalling. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, devastating for Wolves fans. But they got encouragement early on. They started to settle on the ball. Thought Gomez in midfield was really good. He sort of got on the ball and played well. Hwang's always a sort of talented player. I thought the back players, to be fair, I thought that Šeško caused a few problems with Doherty. I think rolling him and then maybe on the crosses, Šeško looked like a bit of a threat. But generally, the way that Manchester United played, I think played into Wolves' hands, and Wolves grew in the game with confidence. And look, Wolves deserved a point tonight. Absolutely no doubt whatsoever. I've talked about Manchester United there for probably 5-6 minutes, but I have to say Wolves deserved at least a point in that game. They took the ball, they created chances. Hwang had a couple in the first half. Tolu had a really good header, didn't he, at the end of the first half, just before actually the Krejci goal. And second half was even. The stats were even. Possession United shaded it a little bit, but I think goals expected, Wolves were on top. I think touches in the box, Wolves were on top. That might have changed in the last 10 minutes when United threw bodies forward, but I thought Wolves were absolutely fantastic. I mean, they're going to go down, Wolves, and they're going to go down miserably, it looks like. But tonight, they've played well in the game, and they've passed it around well. They've lacked a bit of a punch. And they could have gone and won that game. They could have done something really special and sort of give those Wolves fans over in that far corner who were sort of rubbing their hands a little bit with that corner that was coming in the last couple of minutes. But no, they'll be proud, and I think Rob Edwards has come close with what happened. Obviously, I think they played quite well at Liverpool, I believe, and Arsenal. And tonight they've done well again, so he'll feel it's something to build on. But yeah, they absolutely deserve their point here tonight, Wolverhampton Wanderers.
I mean, technically, they have closed the gap on the side who are closest to, the side just out of the relegation zone in Nottingham Forest, who lost at home to Everton. Now, we weren't able to watch the other games that took place tonight, but looking some at the score lines, what popped out to you? Chelsea, perhaps, because that's a missed opportunity for Manchester United again.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Chelsea. I mean, did you tell me before the game that Chelsea had a team that average age was
23?
Which should be something that we're really... it should be something that we really look at and think that's a positive thing. I love the idea of young players playing. But when I think of the Chelsea teams that have won titles, that have won Champions League, they're probably the most experienced teams you'll ever see. I don't think of Chelsea playing a lot of young players. I mean, that happened a little bit when Frank came in, didn't it, when they couldn't sign those players for 12 months. And obviously since the new ownership have come in...
They haven't had that problem since then.
No, but they've been that change of sort of ownership philosophy. But Chelsea historically as a football club were a very direct, aggressive, physical team that were really mature, that have been around the block. And this is the exact opposite, and they're trying to build a football club in a different way. The problem is at times when you watch them, they do look like they play like a young team and they play like an immature team and like an academy football team. Some of their football's absolutely fantastic. I thought they were outstanding against Villa for large parts of that match. But then as the game just wears on into the sort of home straight, they look like they're going to sort of get beat up. And, as soon as Villa made those substitutions the other day, we've not seen the game tonight, but let's get to the conclusion. It can't be good, can it, for them? When you draw against Bournemouth at home, it's not good. The form that Bournemouth are in. So, yeah, I think it sounds like a really bad night for Chelsea. It sounds like a moment in Maresca's sort of what would be existence at the club that he's going to find it tough in this next week or two, because a lot of questions are going to be asked. We'll talk about, the questions being asked of the Manchester United manager, but the Chelsea manager is in a position where he's expected to win, similarly, because of the history of the club and the money that's been spent and invested. And they do play like an immature, inexperienced team. You look at them in the back, you look at them at sort of in the centre-back positions, and you look at them up front, and they just look a little bit flimsy, a little bit weak physically and mentally. You don't feel like they're that strong. There were people, I think, a few weeks ago saying about Chelsea for the title. It was coming up every couple of weeks. Absolutely no chance. They haven't got the makeup. I mean, that's not being sort of disrespectful. They haven't got the makeup.
Leandro Trossard proved to be the perfect antidote to Arsenal's attacking frustrations, following Mikel Arteta's candid remarks about Victor Gyökeres. Gyökeres may have struggled to truly impress since his summer arrival at Arsenal, but over the weekend, there was finally a glimpse of what he is capable of. More importantly, Trossard showed exactly why he could be the key to unlocking the Swedish striker's full potential during Arsenal's hard-fought 2-1 victory over Wolves at the Emirates Stadium. The 31-year-old winger injected fresh energy into Mikel Arteta's side on Saturday night and helped breathe new life into the Gunners' attack. Shortly after replacing Gabriel Martinelli in the second half, Arsenal found the breakthrough. While Trossard did not directly contribute to either the opening goal or the dramatic stoppage time winner, his influence on the game was undeniable. Trossard took control of proceedings, dictating the tempo and pulling the strings down the left flank. Time and again, he dismantled Wolves' compact defensive setup, releasing Miles Lewis-Skelly into space, picking out Declan Rice on the edge of the box, and crucially, feeding Gyökeres with intelligent, well-timed passes. Operating as a creative hub, the Belgian showcased his playmaking qualities, delivering sharp, purposeful distribution. His introduction completely shifted the momentum of the match, and for the first time in weeks, Arsenal's $64 million striker briefly looked like a genuine threat. Before Trossard's arrival, Gyökeres endured a frustrating and ineffective outing in attack. In fact, the Belgian was the only player to carve out a clear-cut opportunity for the 27-year-old forward, slipping a simple yet incisive ball in behind the Wolves' backline. Gyökeres controlled the pass, beat his defender, and aimed for the far post. Wolves goalkeeper Sam Johnstone was beaten, but the Swedish striker saw his effort agonizingly drift just wide. If Arteta truly wants to get the best out of Gyökeres, then granting Trossard a more prominent role in the starting 11th could be the solution. Speaking to TNT Sports after the win, the Arsenal manager openly addressed the challenges facing his marquee signing. "It's a collaboration between the two," Arteta explained. "He was in some really good positions, but the ball didn't arrive quickly enough, accurately enough, or with the precision a number 9 needs to score." But his commitment and intention were there, and we have to keep pushing. Arteta was equally vocal in defending Gyökeres prior to the match, urging patience with the striker's adaptation to English football. "There was huge expectation because we were signing a proven goal scorer, probably with the best statistics in Europe," Arteta said. "But he's coming into a different league, the most demanding league in the world. What happens if he doesn't score in 5 or 6 games? That was the only question I asked him. How are you going to react if you don't score in 5 or 6 matches? Can you handle that? And what about the next 100 games? That's what people need to see. The sample size is still very small, so leave him alone. Let him do what he does best. Support him, and I'm convinced things will come good." That message from Arteta resonated beyond the Emirates. In the days following the Wolves' victory, the debate around Gyökeres intensified among pundits, supporters, and former players. While some questioned whether Arsenal's record signing is truly suited to the Premier League's pace and physicality, others pointed to the structural issues around him rather than the striker himself. Much of the post-match analysis focused on Arsenal's chance creation and balance in the final third. The Wolves game highlighted a recurring theme this season. Gyökeres often makes the right movements, but the service into dangerous areas has been inconsistent. When Trossard entered the match, that problem briefly disappeared. Arsenal suddenly looked more fluid, more unpredictable, and far better equipped to supply a traditional number 9. Former players speaking on television and radio were quick to note the contrast. With Trossard drifting inside and linking play, Arsenal's attacking shape became more compact, allowing Gyökeres to stay higher up the pitch and occupy central defenders. That, in turn, created space for midfield runners like Rice and Ødegaard to arrive late in the box. It was a glimpse of an attacking formula that Arsenal have rarely sustained this season. The reaction from supporters has been equally divided. While frustration with Gyökeres' goal return remains, there is growing appreciation for his work rate, physical presence, and willingness to press from the front. Many fans now see Trossard as the missing connector, the player who can translate Gyökeres' movement into genuine scoring opportunities. Internally, Arteta faces an important decision. Persisting with a front line that isolates Gyökeres risks damaging the striker's confidence, especially with tougher fixtures on the horizon. At the same time, promoting Trossard to a regular starting role could mean reshuffling wide positions and reducing Martinelli's minutes, a bold call that would not come without consequences. Yet football at the highest level often comes down to chemistry rather than reputation. The Wolves match suggested that Arsenal's most expensive signing may not need drastic changes to his own game, but rather the right supporting cast around him. If Arteta embraces that idea, Gyökeres' slow start could soon be remembered as nothing more than a difficult adjustment period. For now, the pressure remains. Goals will ultimately define Gyökeres' Arsenal career, and patience in North London is never unlimited. But with Trossard offering clarity, creativity, and calm in possession, Arsenal may finally have found the key to unlocking their striker and turning promise into consistent production.